We live.
Welcome in to the opening line report. Kelly Stewart here this beautiful Saturday morning. And boy, do we have a ton of stuff to go over. We got college basketball, college football playoff. And of course, we've got some NFL even today. We're going to bring in a couple different guys from WagerTalk.com, starting off with Gianni the Greek. Then, of course, Teddy Covers. You guys know him from the opening line report with me. And then Steve Merril, bat and cleanup for us, answering all those college basketball questions. So if you guys have a question, drop it in the chat. And if you hear somebody snoring in the background, there is a gremlin at my feet. Try to make him behave while I'm up here at my dad's house. Good luck and prayers to me for that one. Also, shout out to those in the comment section already getting started, those Wager Talk insiders. Appreciate you guys being those premium subscribers here. HOA president. Yes, it's been a fun week and a half being an HOA president. Lots of phone calls, lots of BS, and lots of emails. Let's bring in Gianni the Greek. VR, would you ever be an HOA president?
No, probably not. I don't think I'd get voted in, Kel. I don't think I'd get the votes needed.
There was only 4 people that voted. I voted for myself, shocker. But I do like to get things done, and that's what we do here.
That's who you need. Someone like that. I'm not good at that. That's exactly what you need. Someone like you that's on top of things, makes sure that things get done. Seriously. You're perfect.
Make sure we get those sharp bets. Art DeCesar from the Westgate Superbook already sent me a text. I'm going to give you guys those bets, not only for college basketball, but also the college football playoff today. VR is going to codify some of those, but I'm going to let him go and just give you guys a preview of what this Saturday slate looks like. VR, we got college basketball, we got NFL, we got college football playoff. Anything else you guys are betting right now, right before Christmas?
Yeah, well, real quickly, I just sent out a 4% play, and you guys can have it. It's my only NHL play so far, so no package or anything like that. It's Buffalo. We bet Buffalo Sabres. We bet them 3 different times. So I don't know if there's some injuries or what's going on. I'm doing the handicapping myself on the NHL. I don't even have power ratings for that. But yeah, we bet Buffalo for minus 160. The last bet I just placed was at minus 174. So it was 3 different times, 160, 165, then 174. So I doubt it'll be there, probably about up to 180 at most of the sharp shops. So we're on Buffalo in the NHL. That's for the different smaller market sports. Now in the NFL, here's what we got. Let's just start off with the early game first, and that's Philadelphia and Washington. No surprise, books are going to end up needing Washington, mostly because of all the exotic risks. Ton of parlays and teasers with Philadelphia. One of the most heavily teased games already locking into Sunday's action. So they're using Philadelphia on moneyline parlays with Sunday and with teasers with Sunday's action. And again, if Washington could sneak in there and get a money line win, that would wipe out so much of the risk going into the later game. Because in the later game, there's two-way action. And it's no surprise. These two just played 2 weeks ago, really close game. And it's another coin flip type of game, mostly because of the injuries on the Green Bay side. Otherwise, power ratings reflect Green Bay should be the favorite. But with the injury situation, that's why this line has flipped since the look ahead, which had Green Bay as high as a 3-point favorite. So John Murray and the guys over at Westgate had Green Bay as a 3-point favorite in the look ahead. They're now 1-point dogs. I like them on a teaser. They were at 1.5, 2 yesterday. I talked about that. I thought that offered a lot of value, especially when coupled with the fact the under got steamed. So it may not reflect that in the betting line, but the under is a very sharp move. There's just so much over money from recreational bettors that just help manage risk for the books. Otherwise, you'd be looking at probably a 44.5 on that total. So two-way action on the side, Green Bay and Chicago, over from the public, under from the wise guys. And then again, Philadelphia and Washington, no surprise, Philadelphia is the side from the public. Nothing yet on the total. They're betting it over as far as the recreational bettors. College football, playoff, first round. All 3 games getting bet over by the public. So regardless of whether they're taking the favorite or the dog, they're doing it with the over. They're teasing it with the over also. So they like all 3 overs. If you look at the totals on odds logic right now, you'll notice the market's not reflecting that. In fact, it's showing us the opposite. Oregon total opened at about 50 and a half. That's down to 46. Texas A&M and Miami opened at about 51 and a half, 52. That's down to 48. And even Mississippi and Tulane, which opened 57 and a half, it's sitting right there. So obviously, anytime that the total's moving up because of public money, there's some sharp betting the under. That's the side they like. That's usually the case anyway, but we're just looking at 3 independent standalone games, so the volume's a lot heavier. Sides, Oregon and Mississippi, both one-sided. No surprise. Like, they're betting Oregon and Mississippi blindly. The spread's irrelevant. It's the A&M and Miami game that you're seeing good two-way action now that it's sitting at that key number of 3. Anyone that could read the line will let you know Miami was the side that the Sharps took. As soon as the line opened, just like Oklahoma yesterday, they liked the Oklahoma side. That was one of the first ones that got steamed. Miami was one of the first that got steamed as well. They took them at 4, took them at 3.5. That's why you're looking at 3 right now. Personally, my power ratings show that Miami is the higher power rated team. So the rankings have Miami 10th and Texas A&M 7th. I have Texas A&M 17th, and I have the Hurricanes at like 13. So I have Miami as the better team. Again, when the market reflects it, I feel more confident. When it doesn't, I worry a little bit. Like, I stayed off of Alabama yesterday because my numbers showed Alabama was the side, but I had to respect the market, which made Oklahoma go-to favorite. So I kind of sat that one out. But here, my numbers and what the market's doing do support each other as far as the Miami side. So sorry not to go long. And finally, in the FCS playoffs, Illinois State got steamed. They were actually a dog. They're now the favorite. But we're showing a little take back because that was up to like 2.5 yesterday. It's back down to 1.5. So sorry not to go off on my rants, Kel, but just want to cover the college football and NFL for you guys with some detail.
No, absolutely. VR, we love these rants, and that's because we get tons of good information. I was waiting to jump in until after we had at least 100 likes from the YouTube channel and at least 1,000 people watching live, which we are here. We're going to get into all of those questions, whether it's college football playoffs, NFL with Teddy Covers. We're going to get into college basketball questions with Steve Merril. VR, I have a question for you, though. You mentioned the Eagles, and then Art DeCesar said, the Eagles, they're going to need the Redskins because of all the Eagles teasers and, of course, money line bets. I am kind of in a conundrum. I have one survivor, one little tiny survivor, not the big money league, but still $100,000 to the winner. It is a double pick week through the rest of the season. I got Houston. That's easy. That's a no-brainer. I love Houston anyway this week, the Raiders versus that defense. My second option is the Eagles, but I don't like taking those divisional road favorites. And then my third option is the Saints against the Jets. If you had to pick, would you take the Eagles on the road in the division or the Saints to get a third win in a row?
All right. Eagles power rated. I have them as 8-point favorites on a neutral. Okay. 8-point favorites on a neutral. The Saints are, who are they playing again? Saints and the Jets. So it's at New Orleans. That one I have New Orleans, 5, add 2 to that. So they're -3. And the Jets. New Orleans should be a 3.5-point favorite on a neutral. 3.5, 4. Add in the home field. I would take Philly, Kel. I would take Philly.
Really? Oh my gosh, I'm nervous. Okay, all right, I'm going to look at it a little bit more.
I hate saying it because I don't like that, especially it falls on the teaser, like everyone's teasing it. But just because of what the power ratings show, that I think if the Eagles don't cover, I think they have the higher probability of winning that game. And looking at the Saints' public action here and how the line moves, I would go Eagles. I would go Eagles, Cal. I would go Eagles with no regret.
Eagles once again. This is the best week to use them, frankly, unless we use them week 18 versus this exact same team. Let's get into some of the stuff from Art DeCesar at the Westgate Superbook. He sent me a very long list, including a best bet. So I always like to go over it with VR. We already mentioned that the Sharps are on Miami. Public and some house players are on A&M. So he's going to need Miami to win the game for a very nice decision there at the Westgate Superbook. And I just mentioned that they're going to probably need Green Bay at this point. I put Green Bay in a teaser. Good news is I did it early in the week. I also have the Bears in a teaser. I hope somebody just wins by 7 or less. And then again, they're going to need the Commanders because of all the Eagles teasers and money line bets. We'll get to Art's best bet here in a minute. He said Tulane will be a small need, nothing significant. But I was surprised by this one. Sharps took 21.5 with Oregon. They started at 21, obviously, but some of them even still took 21.5 with JMU. So they took the points with JMU. You and I talked about this on my splash contest. I am 7 points behind in one of them. And I thought, you know what? What's a good way to get ahead by playing the sides that no one else wants, right? I didn't do so well with Oklahoma last night, but I was thinking about going both dogs today, Tulane and JMU. But he did say they booked the game to need Oregon, and that was really surprising to me.
Yeah, Oregon's legit. Like, I mean, I have them top 5 for sure. And but James Madison, I do think they're overvalued, overrated. I talked about that all season. Like, power rating wise, they're barely in my top 45. But looking at what the number is, 60 and I think the number's too high. I think Oregon should be about a 17.5, 18-point favorite. And I think that's why they're taking the 21 on James Madison. But the Tulane, Mississippi line, I do think is warranted because of where it's being played. I don't give them like a full home field advantage, but being in Mississippi, got it shaded a little bit. And I actually used Tulane on bet on it because that was the one dog that was actually sticking out there. And even power rating wise, I thought it had a little bit of, a line value. But looking at it today and seeing that the sharp money did take James Madison, I like it as well at 3 touchdowns. Because again, for James Madison, this is a free roll. They didn't come into the season expecting to win a national championship. Like, now getting to the playoffs, winning their conference, getting to the playoffs, now they get to play Oregon, and all they have to do is try to show up and not get blown out. Like, that to them is their goal. So they're going to give you 60 minutes of effort. For Oregon, style points don't matter anymore. You're in it now. You don't have to win by 60 points. You have to win and stay healthy for who's up next. So I don't think Oregon has any reason, if they're up 4 touchdowns, to go up 6 touchdowns. I don't. Where I do think James Madison, if they're down 4 touchdowns, they are motivated to cut it to 2 touchdowns, like to have some respect on that final score. That's where I think the back door stays open for these big dogs, kind of like we see during March Madness, where, the Cinderella story doesn't ever really come to fruition. But in the first round, some of those teams are just so happy to be there. And the number 1 ranked team, they just want to move on to the next game. And I think we may get that from Oregon today. At 3 touchdowns, I like the dog there. I do like Tulane a little bit also, but I just don't have real value power rating wise. And like I said, with Miami, I agree with it also. I think they're the better team. And I thought A&M all season, I've been waiting for them to get exposed. They kind of did and had that 1-point win or whatever. But yeah, I agree with the market there also.
Okay, let's go through some of this sharp college basketball from the Westgate. Starting off, we got Arkansas +5, Denver +10.5, Grand Canyon +3, Kent State, they bet at a pick'em, Southern Miss +2.5, FIU -4.5, Buffalo pick'em, Memphis +4, Ball State +10.5, Colorado -4, and Weber State -5. Now, not as many plays as last week, but Art DeCesar went 11-6-1. So a profitable weekend. Last weekend, he had a ton of college basketball. I'll go over those again here, guys, when Steve Merril joins the show. But I wanted to see if VR had any of those in agreement.
Yeah, here's what we got in college basketball so far. I thought he said Colorado. We got Colorado State. We're on Colorado State +8. Texas State -1.5. UL Monroe +1. I'm just taking them straight from the account right now.
Don't worry, I'm putting them in. I'm sending the text because the group chat's already been asking me, what are the needs for today? I'm like, everybody wait. We haven't even hit go live yet.
In North Carolina. So the Monroe, Texas State, Colorado State, those 3 are hit in every single account that I have. Every single one. So they had the number on every one. So those are as legit as they come. North Carolina -4, not so much. Probably like 30% of the accounts. So I don't know whether the number was gone, but those three, Monroe, Texas State, and Colorado State, they're legit for sure.
All right, VR, we're going to let you get out of here and bring in Teddy Covers to talk some of this NFL and college football playoff. Let us know what you got going on over at WagerTalk.com before you leave.
Oh, yeah. It's time to do some damage. I have my Saturday NFL package up, already 2-4% in there. College football package will go up now that I have confirmation. Sunday NFL going for third straight 5% big move. And of course, college basketball will be out there. The Steam sheet will be up also with nonstop information put in there. And again, Steam Room tomorrow, final hour heading into kickoff. It's a great time. Since Thanksgiving, I said we're now fishing with dynamite, and we're up over 70 units since that Thanksgiving weekend. Things done changed. Jump on board. Let's have a good holiday and best of luck this weekend.
All right, best of luck to you, VR. Let's bring in Teddy Covers. You guys know him from the opening line report with me every single Monday morning. And there he is. Good morning, Teddy. I appreciate you hopping on last call with us. We are going to hit some college football playoff, some Saturday NFL. Not a great start for the college football playoff for me, right? Oklahoma just kind of, blew a 17-point lead, which has been on par for my college football plays this year. But let's kind of break down these other three games. We got some questions in the chat we're going to get answered. And then, of course, I want to get your opinion on what I should do in Survivor as well.
Sure, because I'm actually going to disagree with Johnny on that. In terms of if the choice is New Orleans or Philly, the only team Philly's beaten in the last month is the Raiders. You know what I mean? I've got concerns about Philly, and I'm confident Washington's going to show up today. I'm not confident that the Jets are going to show up.
Now, really quickly, Jaden Daniels is out for this game, correct?
Yes, Mariota.
It is Mariota, which is how much of a drop-off would you say between the two quarterbacks?
0.0.
And that's what I was afraid you were going to say. So here we are, and I have some genuine concerns. I did see that one of the guys who has previously cashed in Survivor did play the Saints. I think it was on one of the Twitter accounts I follow, like Last Man Standing or one of those. And so I thought, okay, this kind of gives me that extra nudge towards the Saints. But again, it is still the Saints. Now, my buddy Joe is a huge Saints fan, and after they beat Tampa, he goes, Saints are going to win out. Watch. And I said, what? And he goes, I've been a Saints fan my whole life. I know exactly what they're going to do. Kind of break down your thoughts on that game. I know it's tomorrow, but for my own personal reasons why, I get some questions from the chat.
So the Jets have been no-shows. I mean, the last 2 weeks, they've been flat out no-shows. And when we look at the Jets' defensive injury report, they're going to have problems moving forward. And we've seen each of the last 2 weeks, Jets opponent has scored touchdowns in their first 3 drives of the game, and when you're giving up 21 points, by midway through the second, the Jets aren't going to come back from a lot of deficits like that. It's just not in their MO. The concern here for the Saints is back-to-back division wins. Is this an exhale spot? But when you have a first-year, first-time head coach, when you have a rookie QB, and Tyler Shuck is not your standard rookie QB, all right? This is a guy who doesn't have Super Bowl upside, but he does have win now upside. What did he play? 6 years in college, 7 years in college? Felt like Shuck was there. We played at 3 different schools before he was done. He's 26, 27 years old. As a rookie, he's a notch or two ahead of a lot of the other guys because he's had so much collegiate experience. Now, is Shuck going to be a Pro Bowl quarterback? No. Is Shuck a quarterback you want on your team at the tail end of a bad season to give you a chance to win a game? Yes. So yeah, it'd be Saints for me in that department. And it's also worth noting the books are really going to need Washington in that ball game, and they're not likely to need New York the same way or New Orleans the same way.
And that's after Art sent that kind of codified it, which I thought, hey, of course, everybody's going to want to tease the Eagles, 6.5 point favorite bouncing around here on the odds logic screen. All right, let's see what we've got for questions in the chat. If you guys have Saturday NFL, you got to wait for Sunday NFL tomorrow. Or if you have any college football playoff questions, we're going to answer those now. If you have college basketball, we're going to save those for our guy, Steve Merril, at the end of the show. I got a Frenchie on my hip. Don't mind me. It's not me snorting, guys. I promise. Let's see what we got here for questions in the chat in regards to today's college football. Okay, let's go right here. Look ahead. Alabama is IU is I don't know what to make of Indiana, Bama. I don't know what to make of Bama. Teddy, let's talk about that. Did you think yesterday was a fraudulent win by Alabama? Did Oklahoma just absolutely choke away that game? I'm not going to lie. After the punt mishap and then the pick six, I said, I'm going to bed. I have things to do tomorrow. I'm not watching this garbage game.
Well, I watched right through the end because I had Alabama in that ball game, and I wanted to make sure they were taking a knee before all was said and done. And certainly the Sooners. It felt like the energy of the crowd and the energy of the team was so huge early that once it turned, they had nothing left in the tank. And the other thing that it felt like, at least for this better, there was one play that nobody's going to talk about. That was the key to the whole game. Oklahoma's up 17-0. Alabama still can't move the football. It's 3rd and 5 on their next drive. They've gone 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out their first 3 drives. And it's 3rd and 5, and the crowd is going crazy. And if they punt there, I think it's a Sooners run out. I really do. And that Frost receiver, he caught 2 touchdowns later in the game. But on 3rd and 5, he kind of stumbled and made this great catch and ended up being a 29-yard gain downfield. And all of a sudden, Alabama's moving. And that 1 third down conversion is the difference between Oklahoma winning by 5 touchdowns and Alabama pulling the upset. And nobody's going to talk about that one play. But that was it. That was the highest leverage play of the entire game. Down 17-0. They punt there. I'm telling you, the Sooners run them out. That said, count me as an Alabama believer. They weren't healthy down the stretch. Ty Simpson wasn't healthy, and that explains the Georgia loss. That explains the struggles against Auburn. They're healthy now. DeBoer stayed put. All right. This is a legit contender to go a long way. I would not be surprised if they beat Indiana. In fact, and again, I haven't thought about it. I haven't handicapped the game yet, but my initial gut reaction is I'll take the Crimson Tide again.
All right, we got about 40 questions about Bears Packers here in the teaser, and that's the first NFL game today. I get it, guys. I'm breaking VR's rules. Teddy, I don't know if you noticed, but starting here on Last Call, especially on Sundays, VR's been saying, hey, wait to do these teasers, and I have not listened to them in the slightest. I have been betting them live with you on Last Call. So I had 4 Bears teasers. Now I've got 4 Packers teasers. That's not reality for most people. Talk to me about the side or the total here, whichever you prefer. I'm curious to see how this game pans out. Packers really don't have, well, first of all, they're kind of riddled with injuries, and they really don't have an upside, in my opinion, at this point in time. The Bears, basically the Bears division to lose? The Packers do own the Bears. Yes, you are correct, Brian.
So I have 14 things I disagree with you about. And let's start with the mainstream narrative that says, oh, the Packers are riddled with injuries and the Bears are fine. That ain't the case. The Packers lost Micah Parsons. They're getting 2 guys back off IR this week who are going to 2 defensive ends who are going to, they're not Micah Parsons, but they have bodies, capable bodies they can put there. It's not a complete loss to rush the passer for Green Bay. The key injuries for this game are the Bears receiving core. Look at the Bears receiving core. All right. No Luther Burton in this ball game for Chicago. He matters in this bettor's opinion, and he's not the only one that's going to be missing. No Romeo Dunze. And when you're talking about, 2 of their 3 best receivers and Ben Johnson's been a guy who's been able to create depth at the receiving core. He did it in Detroit. There's certainly some depth in Chicago. But when you're talking about the injuries that matter here, it feels to me like Green Bay's injuries are getting a lot more publicity than Chicago's injuries. And Chicago's injuries, at least in my opinion, are every bit as impactful. Why are the Bears here? They're here for 2 reasons. Why are they in control of the division? Fourth quarter comebacks, Caleb Williams has been great down the stretch of tight games. They have that confidence that, some teams develop that, hey, we're going to win close games in the fourth quarter, and they start doing it in September, and by December, they believe in themselves, and the Bears are absolutely that team. The other reason that the Bears are in this spot is because their defense created 30 turnovers. When your defense is creating takeaways every single week, it gives the offense a chance to find rhythm. But Green Bay is not a turnover team. Jordan Love doesn't turn the ball over. I think they've given away the ball 9 times all year. So this is not a game where I expect the Bears to win the turnover battle by margin. And with Chicago being favored and on a team that Green Bay has owned, on a field that Green Bay has owned, I bet the Packers. I advise my clients to bet the Packers. It's a client play for me on Saturday night. Green Bay plus the points. And if I'm teasing, obviously, I'd be teasing up to 7.5 with 1.5 still available for Green Bay right now. But I'm not teasing. Straight bet. I think Green Bay wins the game.
I do like the Packers as well, Teddy. Let's look at this playoff picture really quick. I just got it open on my phone because I was genuinely curious from this question. So we'll get into Eagles, Commanders. Does Philly even need to win? Right now, is Philly locked in to that? Well, the NFC wildcard race, Philly looks like they're locked in at the 3 seed.
Philly's supposed to win the division, right?
They're supposed to. So I'm going to look and see what I can find for the whole division. Right now, yes, they have a 3-game lead over the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. So when it comes to must wins and playoff positioning, I really don't look a lot until week 18. The last week, you pay attention to that stuff. In week 16, teams might have it in the back of their minds, but is it a legit edge from a handicapping standpoint? I haven't seen that that's the case. I really haven't. So it's not something that this week I'm paying a lot of attention to. We'll pay a little bit of attention next week, but really week 18, you want to know. Week 17, week 16, it's in my mind less of a factor.
All right, Teddy, we're going to get into some more college football playoff talk here in a minute. I already mentioned you guys can find Teddy and I every single Monday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel for the opening line report of the NFL weekly card. We go through tons of information. I mean, Teddy, just the notes Teddy sends me has helped my handicapping in the NFL immensely. It is one of those must-watch shows, especially if you want to get not only the best in the information, but the best of the number early in the week. Teddy, what else do you have going on over at WagerTalk.com?
So we're running good right now, guys. We really are. Swept last night, swept the night before, 5-0 over the last 2 days. The NFL has been great the last couple of weeks, 7-1, 88% NFL run. All sports, I think it's 18-8 now over the last 2 weeks. So we're making money, and I'm in play today in college football. I'm in play in college hoops. I'm in play in NFL, although you just got that here a moment ago, but we'll have NFL obviously for tomorrow. We got these weekend warrior packages for $49. We have the buy 7 days, get 3 days for free. Great deals right now on my page, wt.buzz/TC. Just visit the website, WagerTalk.com. I tell you guys when we're running bad, well, we're running good. It's not a bad time to get on board. All access pass available right now on my homepage at WagerTalk.com.
All right, let's talk about this first college football playoff game. All right, Miami's down to 3. Art Caesar from the Westgate Superbook said that is going to be their biggest need of the day. I liked A&M. Let me back this up. I tweeted I hoped I could bet against both these teams in the first round of the playoffs. And unfortunately, they play against each other. So you can't do that. I did have a slight lean towards A&M that I gave out on Bet on It. I'm not going to probably get to the window with this, but finding out that Miami is such a significant need here, Teddy, does make me think I should take Texas A&M out of my survivor, right? I have a college football playoff survivor pool and just go straight easy chalk and take Ole Miss and Oregon. I know that's not the right thing to do. I do have A&M in 2 of them, though. What do you think about this game?
I have Miami in my pocket. I have Miami money line in my pocket. I have a free play video out for Miami in my pocket. I got a client play where I wrote up Miami in my pocket. And I understand the case for A&M. The case for A&M is Mike Elko versus Mario Cristobal, and I get that. Cristobal has failed in these spots. Elko has not. But, boy, you start looking at the personnel, grading out the personnel between these 2 teams, and there's no edge for A&M, at least not in my opinion. And when we look at the quarterbacks, I'll take my chances with a quarterback in Beck, who's been a 5-year starter who's been in big games before, as opposed to Reed, who hasn't. And I'll certainly take my chances with Miami's D. When I have the better quarterback and the better defense and I'm catching points, I'm interested. And, from every statistical, both the eye test and the stats are telling me that Miami is a better defense. And I believe that Miami's quarterback is every bit as good as better, and they're catching a field goal plus. So I'm interested. I'm interested in my pocket. I think the Hurricanes are very capable of winning this ball game. And again, when the committee makes controversial decisions like getting Alabama into the field or getting Miami into the field, sometimes those decisions end up paying off.
Ooh, a little bit of motivation by being told you weren't supposed to get in. That's
sure.
Very, very interesting.
You suck factor.
I do like the you suck factor. Okay, let's talk about the you suck factor. As far as the two teams that did get in that might not have, right? We know Tulane doesn't suck. They won the Sun Belt. We know JMU doesn't suck, but they are both seriously outclassed, at least from a on paper perspective, right, Teddy? But this week on the Gold Sheet, I read this on Bet On It, and I thought it was really interesting. Oklahoma did not do this last night, however, though. All 4 home teams last year during the college football playoff not only won, but won by a margin of 19.3 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really interesting one. And when they were up 17-0, I thought, oh boy, this stat may stay alive. However, that includes JMU maybe catching a few too many points. Let's talk about both Tulane and JMU and whether you could get to the window with either one of these teams, or if you think you got to lay it or don't play it.
So the answer, will I get to win to the betting window with Tulane or James Madison, is very simple. I'm going to say this as clearly as I can. Hell no. Okay, these teams are outclassed. All right, both of them. All right, I heard Gianni talking earlier about, if Oregon's up 4 touchdowns, they're not going to be motivated to go up 5. They're playing at home in front of a raucous crowd against a demoralized opponent that's down 4 touchdowns. They may not have a chance. Now they're going to be, let's just run the ball 3 times in the middle and punt. I think Oregon's going to kill James Madison. If I'm going to lay points, really, I'm tempted by both favorites. It was 45-10 Ole Miss Tulane in the first meeting, and Tulane was interested. Okay, it wasn't like, and I understand it's a different scenario now, and there may be overconfidence from Ole Miss, and obviously it's an Ole Miss team that has gone through some coaching turmoil. But in general, in bowl games, as long as the team has a coach, it's one thing if there's no coach. But as long as the team has a coach, I'm kind of tapping the brakes on some of this coaching stuff. Oh, the coach is gone. Oh, the coach is here. It's the players who are on the field, and the players, there's no comparison in either of these 2 games. I mean, again, and we look at comps. We look at, okay, how did this team do when they stepped up in class? James Madison didn't play anyone. Their toughest game all year was September 5th at Louisville, and they weren't in that game. I know they lost by only 2 touchdowns, but Louisville wasn't interested either. Here Oregon, it's Oregon's interested, and it's a long way from home from a program that has no experience in these spots. Could the back door be open? Maybe. But Oregon's defense has been really good. I just checked the forecast for Eugene today, and it's not nearly as bad as initially expected. This total got pet down. At this number, I can only take over for Oregon, James Madison. I think it's been bet down too far, but then again, I worry about James Madison scoring. But I think the Ducks will take care of business. I worry about Tulane, Ole Miss looking past Tulane a little bit, but I don't worry about that's not an upset. If Ole Miss doesn't spend the game shooting themselves in the foot, they'll win, and they're likely to win by margin. I don't want the Dogs, favorite or pass, in 2 games where the Dogs are severely outclassed on both sides of the ball.
All right, Teddy, at Teddy_covers. Anything else you'd like to leave our audience with for either today's NFL games or college football playoff games?
Well, I have college hoops on the brain. We've been working college hoops all morning, and I'm really tempted by Virginia minus 14.5 against Maryland. That's 3:00 Pacific, 6 p.m. game. That's my last one out right now. I've got a couple of plays up in college hoops, but the last one out is Virginia. Virginia has been just crushing teams lately, and Maryland's just been getting crushed lately. And this is just expect more of the same from both these squads. I worry about the layoff for the Cavs since their last contest, but Virginia, and of course the money's come for Maryland. But Virginia 14.5 is one that has intrigued me.
I'm going to add that to my long list of other ones that I'm probably going to bet from the Westgate Superbook earlier. We'll go through those here in just a minute. Teddy, I will see. There you go. Trent's on A&M. If anybody wanted to know, he joined me on Oklahoma last night and then made fun of it. And subsequently, Alabama just absolutely rolled after that moment. John Murray did too, by the way. I've been calling him Murray the Mush all morning, so he and I are not speaking as well. It is just, I get a little angry when people mush the side that I'm on. Teddy Covers is the best. We'll see you Monday morning, bright and early, right here for week 17 of the NFL. All right, guys, we got about 15 to 18 minutes with Steve Merril, and we're going to get through all of your college basketball questions. Merril, I want to bring you in because you live in the great state of Virginia or Maryland, one of the two. I can't remember, but I know it's over there somewhere. And I want to hear your opinion on Teddy's breakdown of that game while we get some questions populating for today's college basketball card, excuse me.
Ask my new friend Brady. He knows exactly where I live, and he can tell you. Good to see you, Kelly, in person. And, yeah, it's a huge card here. We also got 2 NFL games, NBA. I mean, we got 4 major sports going in full swing, everything but baseball here on Saturday. UVA is obviously an interesting team because Tony Bennett last season in October, about 2 weeks before the season started, all of a sudden retires, steps down. And, a lot of times when that happens, you're like, there's a controversy, something's going on. Now, he was just fed up with the atmosphere of modern college basketball, the NIL, the transfer portal, all that junk. And I think the reason he did it at the last moment is because he wanted his assistant coach to get a shot to run the team, which he did last year, but it didn't go great. Ryan Odom, the VCU coach, is now the new Virginia coach this season. And Virginia is off to a 9-1 start. As Teddy said, they're playing Maryland today. I've got about a projected like a 17-point win, and this isn't your slow-down Virginia team like in years past. So they've been routinely putting up 85, 90 points on average this season.
All right, Steve, I'm going to go through some of these sharp college basketball because I like to do it a couple different times on the show. I know everybody pops in and out at different times. And of course, one of our insiders is asking for it. WT.buzz/insiders if you guys are looking to join. $2.99 a month to get premium access to everything WagerTalk. All right, ready, Steve? Arkansas +5, Denver +10.5, Grand Canyon +3, Kent State Pick'em, Southern Miss +2.5, Florida International -4.5, Buffalo Pick'em, Memphis +4, Ball State +10.5, Colorado -4, and Weber State -5. Do any of those games strike your interest?
Nothing particular, but I will talk about the Memphis Mississippi State game. I think that's one of the better matchups in that list. We got a lot of those look, the sharp money loves to play the small college mid-major teams. I don't disagree, but I focus more in recent years on the big boys. I think you get a cleaner handicap. I use the analogy of horse racing. I like to play, the bigger tracks. You get Class A opponents. And Memphis and Mississippi State, both top 100 teams, if you will, both bubble teams this season. And this should be a pretty good game today, and really a close game. I make it basically a pick 'em here in this matchup. And I look at the matchup itself. Both teams played a moderate pace, but the one edge that Memphis has is they're a really good offensive rebounding team. I think that's going to give them extra chances. And they're also the better defensive team in this game. Whenever I get two teams that are kind of equally matched as far as the point spread and the projection, I look for edges like that. And another little sneaky edge that you can look when you're handicapping college basketball is free throw rate. Memphis's biggest problem this year has been allowing opponents to score from the free throw line. They're one of the worst in the country. Their opponents get over 43% of their total points from the free throw line. Guess what? Mississippi State does not get many points from the free throw line. It does not get there often. I like the matchup here for Memphis today on Saturday.
Okay, Art DeCesar every single week gives me a best bet from behind the counter at the Westgate Superbook, and every single week you argue against him.
Yeah, I know. Did he win? I know he was wrong with Dayton 2 weeks ago. What was it last week, Kelly?
I don't remember, but I had to laugh because
was
it seems
wrong?
like so he's opposite of Tyler Torres here, which is why we're bringing in Tyler likes St. John's money line. Well, guess who likes Kentucky money line? Art DeCesar.
Ooh, he's on Kentucky. Yeah, so I actually had a best bet last Saturday, a week ago when we last talked on Kentucky. That was my top play in college hoops all of last Saturday. And we talked about it here on the show. I gave that to everybody for free, actually, and that's 12-point win over Indiana. And if you recall, Kelly, one thing I did say in that breakdown last week was that Kentucky might be turning the corner. Is it time to trust Kentucky? And I know that's always a big if because this is a team, even head coach Mark Pope said about a month ago, I've done a terrible job coaching. Love it when a coach says that. And he said it because he has a payroll of over like $20 million with this current roster at UK. So my point is they're very talented, but we haven't necessarily seen it show itself on the court yet. I liked them last week against Indiana. They've been off for a full week since. I'm in agreement with Art this week. This is a very good St. John's team. As far as the matchup goes, St. John's plays great defense. Not quite as good as last year. I ranked them as like the second best defense in the country last year. I've got them like top 15 right now. But they're not a great rebounding team, and I think that could be the difference in this game. Both teams don't give up much from three-point range, so this is going to be teams scoring down low from two-point range. They both do that well. They defend it well. Maybe a little bit of a sneaky under in this game also. Under could be a way to play this. I think one of the reasons Kentucky's going to start playing better is because their defense is going to be better, and that's something they weren't doing well earlier this season. And when you have a bunch of $5 million payroll guys each, they all want to score. I think they're buying in more to the defensive concept now. And as I said last week, we might have the buy sign finally with Kentucky this season.
Steve, they want to know where your Christmas shirt is. Comment section
is
absolutely hilarious.
Thank you, because I've been debating this, Kelly, and they will see it later this afternoon. I did wear it last night for my Fade the Public. But I wore it for both Saturday videos, which are here on WagerTalk TV. So it's a very simple solution. If you want to see my Christmas shirt, go watch the 3-pack, all 3 college football playoff games, and the 2-pack for the NFL games, and then the 1-pack for all the Fade the Public games, which will be up later this afternoon, and includes a Saturday game, by the way. I mentioned that in the Saturday video. And I got to give a shout out to my friend Candace. She's a trainer. You'll like this, Kelly. She's a trainer at the gym. She gave me the shirt over a year ago, but I was out of town, so I didn't get it till January. So I didn't wear it till last December. And I debuted it coaching at halftime at a William Mary basketball game last year. And it got big applause. And I wore it in some of the videos last week. It's a Santa shirt. You'll see it in the videos. And I debated on wearing it for more of the videos next week, so I will. One guy called it a nerd shirt in the comments last night. 99% positive comments. I mean, I love the viewers, and normally they regulate for me. They jump on people. But someone said nerd shirt, but I think he was kind of kidding, so I didn't take it personally.
Yeah.
I was about to write back like geek comment or something, but I didn't.
I mean, seriously, the comment section is absolutely bananas. These guys are hilarious. Oh, here's a good question that I was avoiding, but our producer Louie wanted to put it on just so we could hear what you think about my Kansas State Wildcats. K-State laying 23.5 against South Dakota. Is that number too big, Steve Merril?
This would have been a great football game if K-State had decided to go to a bowl game. South Dakota State are both very good football teams, as you know, Kelly. We're talking college hoops. I got K-State kind of bubblish as well, probably a little bit on the outside looking in right now. South Dakota is not a good team. I project about a 22-point win in this game. And you know where I'm going with that, Kelly. If they're going to win the game, get their team total up and over. And let's pull that up. Let's pull up their team total here as I look at this. And the reason I mentioned this, Kelly and I talked about this a few weeks ago. And, of course, I had a free play video a couple Mondays ago with the K-State team total over 98.5 when they played the worst Division I college basketball team in the country, and that was Mississippi Valley State. They beat them 108-49. They did get to 83 against Creighton in their last game, but you look at those first 5 games that they won this season, they scored 98 points or more in 3 of the 5 games. They could very well get to the 100 mark here. I didn't pull up their team total. I don't have it in front of me if anybody has it, but whatever it is, team total up and over for K-State today would be the way to play it.
Yeah, I'll take a peek here, Steve, because it's not only the team total, the game.
What's the rotation number?
That's
I've got it right here. 98. Well, look at that. 98.5 again. It's magic. 98.5. That's the magic number.
It just is. This is, and also if you like the game over, that depends on their opponent's offensive prowess. Look for the games over. I think they're like 7-2 to the over this year. I got to double check that math.
Kel, how about this? K-State plays at the 16th fastest tempo in the country at a 365.
And
South
if they're hitting their 3-point shots, oh boy, look out. You don't want to be holding it under.
Well, and South Dakota plays at the 36th fastest pace. So both teams like to run. And I love that kind of matchup because when they both want to run, the better team has a huge edge and they get what we call a front door cover. So yeah, I like K-State in this one.
Okay, I'm going to check in the comment sections and see if anybody else has any more college basketball. Oh boy, Sean Michael. He is obsessed with his Michigan Wolverines. Found a bet this morning, Michigan to get to 20-0 at plus 550. Interesting. Is that from Sean, is that from a Michigan book? They're just baiting you guys to have this team win 20 games in a row, or I don't know what, but I'm going to say at plus 550. It's probably not, Steve. It's probably not.
What was this 20? What was the plus 550 for?
They're going to win 20 games, no losses, go 20-0.
Yeah, 20. I was going to say they're going to definitely win 20 games this year. They're already 10-0, but yeah, 20. Yeah, the Detroit Pistons having a great season as well. There's some good Michigan basketball. Speaking of comments, after the show last week, I did a video for that Arizona basketball game, and I mentioned Arizona's not. They were number one in the AP poll, and I said they're not the best team. We talked about it last week. I have Michigan as the best team in the country, and someone got very upset in the comments that I said that. I go, look, I'm not saying Arizona's not a good team. They're just not the best team. And we broke Michigan down last week here on the show, and I explained why they are the best team in the country. They are a dominant defensive team this season, and I project probably a high 30, maybe even a 40-point win in this one against LaSalle, who is not a good team. LaSalle, not a good offensive team. And we talk a lot about this when laying big numbers in college football. You can't bet bad offensive big dogs offensively because they can't catch up when they get behind, especially in football. That's why if you're going to play it, you lay it. But it's the same here. Michigan is the best defensive team in the country. How good are they defensively? Well, they have the number one 2-point defense in the country. They're giving up only 38.5% from 2-point range. They have the second best 2-point offense, 65%, which means they get easy baskets all game long down low with their size, and the other team can't score. And then if you got LaSalle, who's one of the worst 2-point offenses in the nation. LaSalle team total under makes a lot of sense in this one. And once again, I don't have it in front of me. What's the rotation number on this one, Kelly?
I apologize, Steve. I already closed out my odds logic.
That's all right. That's all right. I'll scroll. But I like LaSalle team total under in this one because I just don't see how they're going to score in this game down low. And I do realize some people don't have access to team totals in college basketball. So obviously, the under would make sense here. But I like Michigan laying the points. I think it's going to be a blowout. And I don't see LaSalle scoring much. And for some reason, I cannot find this game on the board. Odds Logic is funky. Yeah, I don't see it. I will say Odds Logic was glitching for me earlier today, so maybe we need to reset. Let's
pivot to a couple more questions before we get you out of here. Is Georgia a real top 25 team for usual, or does the month of January show us who they really are? I didn't think they were a top 25 team last year, and then they got into SEC play and they just got slaughtered. Let's talk about this Georgia team here, Steve, and kind of your thoughts on them or any other team in the SEC as far as some maybe futures value.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really been tested this season. The only good team they've played this year happens to be their only loss, and that was against Clemson, but it was in overtime, so it went down to the wire. Florida State, not that great. I know they blew them out, but they really haven't beaten any. Maybe Cincinnati. I guess you could say maybe Cincinnati was a decent win by 19 a few games ago, but they're not going to be tested today. They're playing West Georgia, one of the worst teams in the country. It'll be a 35, 40-point win, but a bigger picture, SEC is loaded. What did they get in? 12 of the 14, or what was it? 14? No, 14 of the 16, however many they have. Only everybody but 2 got in last year in the NCAA tournament. And I talked about how Michigan has the number one 2-point defense and the number 2 2-point offense. And last week they were first in both. Guess who passed them? It's Georgia. Georgia has the number one 2-point offense and the number 16 2-point defense. So not a surprise. They have some size, and they're really good at forcing turnovers. Normally when you're really good down low, you're not a great turnover team. Georgia takes care of the ball, and they turn teams over as well, and they play at the third fastest pace in the country. That's another reason they score so many 2-point shots. It's not necessarily that they're as big as Michigan. It's that they're scoring in transition. So I think the teams are going to give Georgia trouble in conference play are going to be slow down half-court teams. But a lot of those SEC teams like to run, like Alabama. They like to play fast, and Georgia does it really well this season. So Georgia in up-tempo games is a play on. Slower games, they're a play against. That doesn't really apply here. West Georgia's terrible at both ends of the court, but just something to keep an eye on when conference play begins in the SEC.
All right, Steve, I got 3 more questions we're going to get to. But first, you already mentioned where everybody can find your Fade the Public video. You do a ton of video content for us right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Let everybody know where they can become a premium subscriber and what you've got in today, either college basketball, college football playoff, NFL for tomorrow.
Yeah, I give a lot away for free, 15 to 20 free plays every week in college and pro football and basketball. I sneak in a lot of basketball videos during the week as well. And don't forget, I'm doing every single bowl game and all the playoff games through next month through the championship game in January. So, yes, you're getting every college football game, but a lot of those are light leans only. And if you're playing all the games, nothing wrong with that. Have some fun with the games today. 1% of bankroll is appropriate. But if you want my official best bets, I've got like 6 to 7 advanced college football bowl games for this next week already loaded for my clients. Those are strong 4% plays, 4 times stronger than the free opinions that I'm giving you in the videos. And sometimes the video plays are the best bets. I'm giving you every bowl game. Some of those will be included. But the only way to make money is to play consistently every day and to play the strongest plays. And that's why the 1-year all access is the way to go. And I do still have a special link for an instant huge discount, biggest discount of the season, gets it down to about $1 a play for all sports, all access for a full 365 days. WT.buzz/Steve365. WT.buzz/Steve365 locks you in for a full year for about $1 a play. Now, if you want to start smaller, get a weekly or a monthly sampler. Nothing wrong with that. Everybody gets the same plays that I'm personally using every day. And don't forget about the bonus free play every day on my page as well. And that's, of course, at WagerTalk.com. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. You can get there quicker. WT.buzz/SM.
All right, we've got 4,200 people watching. Woo. So we're going to give it a couple more minutes here. We're going to hit these last 3 college basketball games because these are the 3 that I want to know about. Rob Christensen in the chat. Thoughts on North Carolina -3.5 versus Ohio State, rotation number 627, 628. I think the Tar Heels should cover. VR mentioned that not across the board, but in several sharp accounts, he saw people laying 3.5 with North Carolina. Kind of break down this one for us, Stephen, if any opinions on it.
Yes, I missed out with Ohio State about a week ago. Thought they were a live home dog against Illinois. As I told you last week, Illinois is a team I just didn't have a good feel for this season. I rate North Carolina as the better squad in this game, but not by much. Maybe a few points better overall this season in my power ratings. And this game is in Atlanta, Georgia, by the way. It's a neutral court. So the line looks a little pricey here at 4 now. It was 3.5. It's hit 4 at a lot of locations. I think this one's going to go down to the wire. And as far as the matchup in this game, Ohio State, an excellent 2-point offense. North Carolina, one of the best 2-point defenses in the country. So that is the concern. And while I feel the line is a little high, I don't like the matchup for Ohio State. I actually like the under in this game. Opened 154.5. It's up to 158 now. I don't agree with that move. As I mentioned, I think North Carolina's 2-point defense matches up well here. I play the total here under 158 if you're going to attack this one at 3 Eastern.
All right, Steve, right here off the top, 601, 602. Lots of questions here about Michigan State and if they can cover the 20 points against Oakland. I, in fact, even have one at 19.5 -105 available. Kind of break down this one that's tipping off here in about 8 minutes.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Michigan and the Detroit Pistons, as I mentioned, but I still have Michigan State as one of the 10 best teams in the country in my power ratings. This is a really good squad that Izzo has once again this season. And not a surprise, Kelly. They're one of the best, maybe the best rebounding team in the country. And Oakland does not rebound well. So a lot of second chance points for Michigan State in this one. I project about a 19 to 20 point win. So I don't think there's a lot of line value. But if you're going to play it, I would lay it. And Oakland also has one of the worst 2-point defenses in the country. I think Michigan State's going to be able to score fairly easy in this game. And if you want to stay away from that big point spread, just once again, play the team total over 86.5 with Michigan State.
All right. Anything you'd like to leave our audience with? Any other games that possibly might make your card or narrowly just missed?
No, we touched on most of them in college hoops. I tread lightly this week in college hoops. A lot of teams have been off for the exam breaks. They have the holiday breaks. That's why it's a smaller card today than we normally see. But as I mentioned with like Kansas State or Michigan State, I really like starting to utilize team totals. I don't release them to my clients because a lot of books don't have the numbers still. So, I want to use games that are universally available to everybody. But I think a sneaky way to play these big point spread games like Michigan State or Kansas State today, and they both go here in about 10 minutes, by the way, at noon Eastern, is to utilize those team totals because they usually, if it's going to be a blowout, they get up and over, and it's just a good way to hedge. You can play half of it on the team total, half on the point spread, have a little bit of a hedge going.
All right, Steve Merril is the best. You know who else is the best? The comment sections. I apologize for any of the spam bots. Between Louie and I, we're trying to get these people under control. Clearly, it's all AI or some godforsaken person on the other side of the world. But we love you guys. So thank you for the patience. Thank you to Steve Merril. Give him a follow at Steve Merril on social media. And of course, you can catch all of his free content right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Shout out to those WagerTalk insiders, WT.buzz/insiders, $2.99 a month. Gets you all sorts of premium access, including things like Steve Merril's Fade the Public video. It's already out for those insiders. It'll be out for the rest of you guys here shortly. Shout out to VR for his time, Teddy covers, and of course, shout out to all of you guys for hanging out with us here on this beautiful Saturday morning. As VR likes to say, I hope you cash them, don't trash them.